YMCA with $10,000 to get their program started. Can we have some youth come up?
Thank you, Alan, and thank you so much, Governor. It was wonderful to hear your origins with the program that I didn't know about. And I'm so sorry my son Josh is out of town and he's not able to speak for himself about what the experience was like. But I do want to correct something you said, Alan, and that is that this past year, when the delegation was in Sacramento for the model legislature, it was at the very same time that we were dealing with the budget. And so you may remember that the whole entire delegation could not actually sit in the assembly at the assigned time and had to go over to the Hyatt while we finished our work. And it is the work that never stops. Josh had just a fabulous experience in the YMCA. It was just wonderful. He was a Poly student, and the Poly students actually are affiliated with the Fairfield Y. And it was just incredible for him. He got so involved in the local chapter, and several years went up to Camp Roberts in not San Luis Obispo, Paso Robles. And it seemed as though each time he went, he was elected to something, into some position. We like to joke that he was the first one in the family, actually, to be in Sacramento, which really is true. That is the truth. But the final year of the program for him, he was elected as the speaker, and so we called him Willie Brown Lowenthal. And it really enriched his life, it enriched our lives. As a result of that, when he did go on to college, he went back east to Cornell. He was immediately engrossed in student government. He was in student council his freshman year. His sophomore year, he was student body president. And at the time was very involved in the divestiture in South Africa. We'll all, remember that. So I'm just here to say, Alan knows and Victor knows that for years I've been saying, please bring it back, bring it back. It means so much. It means a lot to young people. It means a lot to us, and to have the participation of every generation, and for every generation to understand that you can have control over your lives by participating in government. That is the key. And whatever your perspective, whatever your political party, that's not the issue. It's the participation, it's the coming together, it's an understanding of how you reach consensus and think of the ideas that shape our world. So I'm a big supporter, and I thank you all for being here. Thank the board, thank Victor, and thank you, Alan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and I'm very, very delighted that you're all here, and I'm very delighted that the Long Beach Fairfield YMCA is going to get much more deeply involved now in youth and government. About 45 years ago, approximately, I was a young assemblyman representing part of Long Beach, and I received a call that several young students wanted to come and visit with me, and they wanted to talk about some legislation that they were proposing for the YMCA model legislature. I had no idea prior to that time, I had no knowledge whatsoever about the program. In any event, they came in to my office. They had a proposed bill that they were going to be presenting at the Youth and Government program. asked me for my suggestions and advice on any changes that they thought might help them to get it passed. And that was my very first contact with the entire program. And so I was quite interested to see how it was going to work. So I did follow it, and I did follow the entire program as it was presented in the state capitol. But that's only a part of the program. It's really a 6-month-long program where the delegates begin, and they get some training, and they get some advice, and it all leads up to that weekend in Sacramento that Alan was mentioning. And they take over the Assembly chambers and the Senate chambers. And when I first got involved with it, there were about 600 students. And now, as Alan mentioned, there's 2,400 students that are participating. Well, obviously, that's a much larger number than you have assemblymen and senators and constitutional offices. So the program has expanded over the years, and there is, in fact, a court segment of the program. Students are allowed and participate, if they wish, in becoming Supreme Court justices and becoming justices of the Court of Appeal. Well, if you've got a court, you got to have some attorneys, don't you, to present their cases before the court. So there are attorneys, and the attorneys work on briefs. And then you have those who are senators and assemblymen, and okay, they present their legislation, but to get as much realism into the program as possible, you had to have some additional elements that are part of the real legislative process. You had to have people who analyzed the legislation to see what is the fiscal impact. It's okay to come up with an idea, but then if it's going to cost some money, where are you going to get the money from, that sort of thing. And then there are all these interest groups that are represented in Sacramento. We, in this great country of ours, in our great state, we are permitted to petition our representatives, and so ordinarily there are a lot of organizations that do want their voice heard, and there are individuals, and how are their voices heard? Well, they generally hire lobbyists. And so